Everything's green.
Everything's green.
Plug it back in.
Yeah, I plugged it. I pumped it. Gave a call to the people that matter, and said, "Let's go." Retail interest in terms of Bitcoin search volume is like really low compared to the current price. It's actually at an all-time low in correlation to the price. It just goes to show you that we've barely scratched the surface when it comes to that retail. What's your best performing asset right now? Nice.
Yeah. Hey guys, welcome to this week's episode of the Crypto Catch-Up. I'm Pav, and with me, the great and powerful Ted. How you doing, Ted?
I'm doing great, thanks, Pav.
How's it feel?
Thanks for the intro. It feels great.
Like
I'm a bit, I've always wanted to get an awesome intro like you do, but now I finally know what it feels like. So thank you, Pav.
That's enough of that. Everything's green.
Everything's green.
Did you plug it back in?
Yeah, I plugged it. I pumped it. Gave a call to the people that matter, and said, "Let's go."
Yep. Accidentally plugged your bicycle pump into your laptop. Just pumped it right up. It's terrible.
Stop that.
It's been said now.
No, everything's green, and we're going to discuss why in a sec.
Yeah, it's pretty important.
So what should we start with? Let's start with ETH, because ETH's been kind of flying under the radar for a while now. Everyone's saying, Solana's the new hot ticket in town. No one cares about ETH.
A lot of ETH bears.
Yeah.
I think I remember saying on the potty too. Because I have to tout myself that now's probably the time to start looking at ETH.
Yeah, exactly. Hated it. You got to be accountable for your actions and what you say on this podcast. So ETH is back. Well, look, it's up about 28% this month.
Yeah, it's looking good.
It's had some healthy gains. It's trading just below 3,000 USD. So
not bad.
There's some pretty juicy catalysts coming up. One, of course, is the ETH ETF, which people are speculating will be approved in May. Obviously, not guaranteed to be approved, but the way that the things are going with regulations and especially all the ETF providers and the success of the Bitcoin ones, they're obviously
absolutely.
There's demand for an ETH one, so I think the SEC will find it.
There's demand
tricky
to be made.
Exactly, we'll find it tricky to kind of reject that one. So that's a healthy catalyst that's coming up. Another healthy catalyst is, of course, the Dencun upgrade.
Yep.
So what that does in a nutshell is it's going to reduce the fees on layer 2 networks. So Ethereum layer 2 networks like Arbitrum and Optimism and stuff like that. So it's going to be cheaper to use the Ethereum network through some of those layer 2s.
Yep.
So just making it more, just making it a little bit, I guess, more scalable in that regard.
Yeah.
Because up until this point, even using layer 2s, which are designed to be more scalable, haven't been as cheap as Solana or even Sui and things like that, other layer 1s. So
it's definitely been an eye-opener for most people if you have been playing around in something like Solana and you haven't before, how cheap it is. I mean, it's really hard to go back to wanting to spend $50 on gas fees.
Yeah,
when you're spending a tenth of a cent.
Yeah, it just seems unnecessary, right?
Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see what happens there. But yeah, ETH is definitely one that's been, the speculation race has started. I think everyone's even though ETF may or may not get approved, everyone's off to the races, just speculating.
Yeah.
And that's what I think is getting priced in.
Well, TED Talks Macro last week was talking about how he's eyeing off ETH in the lead up to that Ethereum ETF approval. Mm-hmm. And then I think he said he was going to potentially sell off after that as a sell the news event. So market might, do the same.
Yeah. Didn't see with Bitcoin, so it's interesting. We'll see what happens. But what else is happening? We've got Bitcoin breaking above 52K for the first time in a long time. We've, I guess if we just wake up on the chart and just talk about that to begin with, I think last week we were just hovering around 50K, and then most notably we saw just a big push and drive January into Feb. So we find ourselves now. There was this key Fibonacci level of 48,500 around there, where price seemed to like to jump off. So I think it's not going to be unlikely to potentially see it move to the next level, which is about 57.5. But I still feel like it's a coin flip to know exactly how high and far we're going to go. But I think one thing that's worth tracking right now is the ETF flows. So we've just seen constant buying day on day, week on week, from the ETF space, and we've seen, I guess, a reduction in the GBTC selling. So that was basically where a lot of the selling was happening. We've covered it on previous podcasts as to why.
Yep.
But what's notable is, the IBIT, which is the BlackRock product, and the Fidelity Bitcoin product. They seem to be leading the way in terms of volume. ARK Invest saw a big day as well towards the end of last week. So I know they've got bank holidays over in the States now, so it'd be interesting to see if they get like double the buying.
For the days missed out. They had their largest day in terms of Bitcoin ETF inflows since the launch day, which was Thursday last week. So even though it's been around for a month and a half now, demand isn't going away.
I think so. And if the markets are nothing, but if you think of it as like sentiment-based approach, I mean, if the sentiment is everyone wants it still, from a TradFi perspective, I mean, we might just continue to see the momentum hold up because that's all we care about, right? So, but one thing I would say to keep an eye on, I think we've talked about this in the past, is open interest. The bets being placed on where the market's going. We're currently in new high territory. So whether or not this is significant or not, I think we'll wait and see. But we've seen in the past when we get up to these sort of high levels, it's usually before a big move in the market, up or down, usually a washout of longs or shorts. So that's just one thing I would say. With that being said, I think we are seeing just continued spot purchasing, which is healthy for the market. So even if we are seeing extended leverage positions, as long as the spot market, there's more and more purchasing and it's not just all derivatives, we probably could continue to see the market move. And what I've got up here, just not to make things look too busy or too complicated, this is what we call like a funding heat map. So whenever we do look at, people betting through derivative products, either long or short, usually there's an interest rate to be paid because you're essentially just taking out a loan on that position. So this basically describes when the patches go yellow, a lot of people stacked on the long side, and the dark bluish areas are like lots of shorts. So quite notably here, what I wanted to point out was in December, when the market was really starting to hoof, we did start to see this, I guess, sort of speckled pattern of yellow elements on the heat map. But it wasn't until the end of December into January we really saw that washout, and that was that big nuke that we saw, and everyone sort of panicked a little bit saying, oh, what's happening? So whether or not that's sort of playing out again, time will tell. But these sort of patterns are pretty normal. As long as the market can continue its spot buying like we talked about, there's nothing to say we still can't keep going.
So for those listening and not watching the video, it's basically... we're seeing more yellow pop up on this chart, which in December showed that a washout was coming.
Just a lot of people exposed via leverage.
Exactly. So we're just kind of wondering if it's going to happen again, or times.
So I'd say if the spot momentum, let's say the ETF slows down and we see still lots of people in leverage positions opened, that's when you might see a little bit of a house of cards situation again.
I want to ask you a question. Are there going to be more opportunities this year to buy Bitcoin below 50K?
Oh, geez.
It's currently sitting at roughly 52?
Yeah, I hope so.
Or a bit under?
I don't know. I hope so. The ETF arguably may have changed the way things usually run. But in the past, we've seen, even if we break above, let's say, key levels, we do come back down.
So we'll come back down below 50K. That's your hot take.
All right, sure.
I'm looking for a hot take here.
A hot take? Yeah, I would say yes. Only because purely technically speaking, the 618 fib has been of significance in the past. So usually we do break above it, but then go back up either towards it or under it after the halving. So that's about 48.5. But that's not to say from here we can't even put in a new all-time high before coming back down. Or maybe we just go up to the 60s or 57s before coming down. Or maybe we're at where we need to be right now and we're going to start coming down. I don't know. But that's... I mean, I hope so, because I kind of wanted to buy the dip a little bit more. But at the same time, I'm not going to be missing out, I guess.
Well, one thing I want to highlight is obviously everyone's looking towards the Bitcoin halving, which is happening in about 2 months from now in April.
Countdown's on.
The countdown is well and truly on. So obviously there's a demand catalyst being the ETF inflows, which are higher than what we expected. And then there's on the supply side, that was going to be a bit of a supply shock with it halving and less, I guess, new Bitcoins are entering into circulation. So it reduces the supply to an extent. And so you're getting both the supply and demand side of things. So I think it's looking good, but at the same time, there's a few things we need to watch out for. You just pulled up this tweet. So Genesis, which is a bankrupt crypto lender, basically have been got approval by the courts to sell their $1.6 billion in Bitcoin. So obviously there's there's sell pressure there, which could bring the price down. People might be, trying to speculate that this will bring the price down and therefore sell again. So you got to watch out for that. That's going to come over the next couple of months, I'd say. And then there's also, just looking at some of the charts. I've got another tweet here. So Bitcoin's at 50K, but Google search volumes, which usually indicate, is an indicator for retail interest because people are searching up Bitcoin. But yeah, retail interest in terms of Bitcoin search volume is like really low compared to the current price. It's actually at an all-time low in correlation to the price.
So bizarre.
So it's super interesting. It's like everything seems to be going well, and then it just doesn't correlate to this.
It just doesn't make sense, does it?
No, it doesn't.
I can't put two and two together.
Like maybe because in the last cycle, a lot of people onboarded into crypto, so they're no longer searching up on Google. They've already got an exchange app, set up, so that they no longer need to Google it. But I don't know.
Do you think in that same light, so many people got in that they just got too burnt by FTX going down?
Yeah. I think more needs to happen because of the negative sentiment for the bulk of the retail market to come back.
Yeah, because I've been thinking myself, I wonder if it takes all-time highs, whereas previously it didn't actually get people back into it and looking at it.
Yeah.
I know in my friend circles, I've only had a few people say, "Oh, how's that Bitcoin going?
Yeah.
Are you guys in trouble?" Like they didn't even know it's close to all-time highs.
Yeah, exactly.
And then when I say
I'm the same.
Don't understand. Like, what do you mean it's that high?
Yeah.
So that's interesting. It all matters. It
does. Well, but I guess you could take from this, if you're listening, is that you're still early.
Well, theoretically, yeah.
Yeah. Because the bulk of the market tends to come back in once prices really moon.
Yep.
But it just goes to show you that we've barely scratched the surface when it comes to that retail interest.
Right. That's right.
Cool. Let's dive into some top movers, Mr. Pav. What do we got? WorldCoin.
Yeah, we haven't seen that in a while.
Came out of nowhere. I guess when it launched, there was a lot of talk about it. It was the AI, a lot of buzz, AI narrative. It was created by the OpenAI CEO and founder Sam Altman, basically to combat the problem of verifying digital ID. Oh yeah, digital humanity, that is, because of the growth of AI. And so I guess from what I've seen, the price has soared because one, they recently their app passed 1 million daily users last week. So that's really strong. I've got the app and I have not been on it, so I hope they're not counting me as a daily user. And then two, I don't know if you heard, but OpenAI, the creator of ChatGPT and also DALL-E, the image generation tool, have just announced they're going to launch an AI video tool.
Sora.
It's
mental. Have you seen some of them?
I haven't seen it, no.
It's crazy. It almost seems like it's not real. It's an April Fool's joke.
Yeah, so basically now you've got ChatGPT, which you can get copy and text written up. You've got DALL-E, which you can get image generation just by typing in a few prompts, and now they've added video, which was I guess the one thing that was missing and was a lot trickier to do, but I don't know.
They've made it look ridiculous. Yeah. So whatever they've done, I'm scared.
Well, our video guy Daniel's sitting in the room now, and I think he's a bit concerned for his job.
Well, if anything, it's made his job easier, right?
Well, yeah, but
Daniel, what do you reckon? Job easier or harder?
Redundant.
Redundant.
Yeah,
cool. No, it is cool. So we'll see. I think the AI, just even looking at the top movers, there's a lot of AI themed assets in here. So we've got Fetch, we have GRT, which I guess has an AI element to it as well. Render. So it definitely seems like that theme that we saw at the start of, I guess you could say, the bull. With now we can retrospectively say it has been a bit of a bull run.
Yep.
It all started with AI and then it kind of went quiet. We saw a lot of layer one and infrastructure tokens go. Now it seems like AI seems to be popping off again as a bit of a leader.
It just kind of seems like no matter how much progress is made in the AI blockchain space, it doesn't really matter, because as long as players like OpenAI are doing big things, then these are just going to pump off the back of that.
Yeah, and everyone's going to be looking at, okay, well, WorldCoin might be at the forefront of actual utility for blockchain and AI, who's in second and third place, which I personally haven't done the research to know. But I mean, that's how you could look at something like this, saying what might be next to catch a bid.
A guy we work with, Matt, recently just took a punt on some AI coin that launched at $1 million market cap and it's already done 60x. So just goes to show, like, I mean, I don't think there are any fundamentals behind it, and it's done that. So we're not recommending people do that, but it's all getting a bit frothy in that regard. So
that's also interesting too, the fact that we're seeing stuff like that, yet Google search trends are so low. Like, I can't make head or tail of this right now. But that's interesting. I think there's a few deep in assets there as well. I mean, what we got there, we got Filecoin, which has been doing quite well.
Can you explain why Filecoin falls into the deep in category?
I honestly haven't looked into it other than they've been saying it themselves. So I couldn't tell you. Like, I can say with render, like, I know like that is like sharing your GPU when you're not using so if you've got like a graphic card on your computer, you can share that and be rewarded essentially for sharing your hash power. So I haven't looked into Filecoin, but I know that maybe they're just claiming the title that it is deep in because that's a narrative at the moment. So they're just trying to land grab. Don't quite know. But something I'll go away and look at.
We're talking about how Filecoin falls into almost every narrative.
It was pretty fun.
Every hot narrative, even the Chinese narrative.
It does.
So it's a layer 1. It's supposedly deep in and AI. Storage. What else? The Chinese narrative. I'm sure we've missed one of them, but
it's all interesting.
Let's dive into some news headlines.
Let's go, mate. So what do we got first? We've got, I mean, you sort of foreshadowed it nicely, but they've had a successful upgrade or testnet run of the latest Ethereum upgrade. So again, more utilization of the L2s that have been, I guess, the next successors of how the Ethereum ecosystem thrives from here on out. So Optimism, Arbitrum, all the others that go on top. They need a few bits and pieces organized in a certain way to really run efficiently. So that's what this upgrade should bring for the network. So usually, I guess, if you're wondering, once things get to a testnet phase, it's basically the last line before it goes into production. So really anything that doesn't go wrong here, you kind of sort of sets in stone the motion that this will go live. So I don't think there's a date on when the actual upgrade would happen, but I mean, history tells us anything. It's usually a couple of macro events might line up. So say there is an ETF going out, I wouldn't be surprised if this and the Denkan upgrade is at the same time. So a crucial upgrade, but just more positive tailwinds for ETH at the moment. So that's good to see.
I don't have too much info on this, but just to add to all the ETH catalysts at the moment, there's news of Vitalik Buterin who's this, one of the founders of ETH and kind of the figurehead of ETH at the moment, has hinted that they might use AI for addressing Ethereum's biggest risks.
Right.
So
interesting.
Obviously just trying to jump on that.
So I'd be definitely watching his Twitter to see if he drops any project names.
Absolutely.
Interesting.
Absolutely. But what else we got? So I guess this kind of ties in as well to what we're talking about when discussing the market. So in regards to the ETFs, like there's just so much demand for Bitcoin right now on Wall Street and in America. So banks are wanting access to more and more Bitcoin, and a few banks have got together and written a letter to the SEC addressed to Gary Gensler to make it easier for banks to hold Bitcoin, because I think the process is currently a little bit clunky. And probably some roadblocks in place to ensure that not too much adoption is had. You know how the SEC when it comes to crypto. So that's really positive, I guess, if you're just from a price perspective, maybe not so much from a decentralization perspective. But an interesting stat that kind of backs this up is the fact that compared to, what do we got here? There is now 25% less Bitcoin on exchanges than there was before 2020. So demand's increasing for Bitcoin, but it just goes to show that a lot of that Bitcoin is getting snapped up by the likes of BlackRock and Fidelity, who are holding a lot of it. And so the exchanges like Binance and Coinbase are holding less and less. It's just, I think it's just the way of the future. More banks are going to hold Bitcoin and less people are going to hold Bitcoin.
And I think that's the worry from all the maxis out there, is if all the Bitcoin is being taken out of circulation, just being put up in storage, then what's, does that change the utility of Bitcoin at all? It's just all of a sudden wrapped up in contracts and derivatives, so it doesn't move any or cause as much supply and demand if like shocks.
From like a medium of exchange point of view?
More in terms of like the actual asset remaining volatile. Like I guess that's what we've always talked about. Like Bitcoin may like become a traditional asset where it just doesn't do anything other than move 0.2% a year. In a long time from now, probably. But like that's a situation where that could happen if it's not really as circulating supply anymore, I guess you could say. Yeah. But it is. It's all happening.
It is all happening. Pav, I want to ask you, what's your best performing asset right now?
Oh, right now?
Yeah.
Filecoin.
Filecoin? Nice.
Yeah. Funnily enough, I bought it like a week ago.
Yeah.
So that's good timing.
Yep. How much up?
Oh, you saw the chart, 40-something%.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yep. Good. How about you?
I'd say probably Beam and Say.
Yep.
So Say's been in the top movers a fair bit lately. It's I guess a new launching layer 1 that launched 2023. So I hold a little bit of that and I hold a little bit of Sui. And then Beam, I recently, when it listed on Swyftx, I actually got a bit of that. Wanted to get some diversification into the GameFi blockchain gaming sector. Yeah. And I saw Beam as, one of the good players there. It's not just an individual game. Like it provides the platform for games to launch. And so you're not kind of just banking on a game that could go lose popularity over time. So just going long on Beam at the moment.
Yeah, no, I like that. I know that Beam, I feel like I've missed out, but I'm definitely on my watch list for if there is a bit of a dip.
Yep.
But very jelly, mate. Very jelly.
They've partnered with Immutable X, another gaming giant. You probably could say the biggest name in the space. And then they've also partnered with Polygon as well. So a few little key things to take away from there.
I'm still just jealous.
Yeah. Oh well.
Yeah. I'm a bit salty now.
Mate, you don't have to be jealous. You can buy some.
It's true. I think that's a wrap. I mean, on a not pretty short episode, but I feel like we've covered quite a bit of grounds. All in all, seems like if the current momentum holds, we probably should see altcoins continue to play green. So just play it safe, see what happens. But yeah, we'll just be watching. I guess if we see anything change on the ETF landscape, probably is a bit of an alarm bell that should be ringing. So
see how we go. Cool. Awesome. Thanks, guys. See you next week.
See ya.